Okay, we're going to call to order the Town of Lloyd regular board meeting for August 21st, 2024, and I'll ask Councilman Frano to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag, the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, we have any participants online, or is it just you, Margaret? Okay. So most of the agenda tonight is going to be the public hearing for the comp plan, which we'll do up front. And we'll get to that in a second. Okay, and I think first thing we'll do is I'll ask for a motion to open a public hearing for the 2024 comprehensive plan.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, the public hearing is open. What I'd like to do first is go through, do you have that presentation, Margaret, queued up? So I'd like to go through this. For those of you who were here at the last public meeting, this will be boring because it's the same thing, pretty much, but I did want to just kind of brief through it again for people who are new or people who may have joined online or may join online. So this, I think everybody's been involved prior with comprehensive plan work. No, it's a long process. It's an arduous piece of work. It's a lot of work, okay? It's, we've been in it now since 2022, kind of the tail end of it. So we've been 2 years on it so far. We'd like to complete it this year, so we can move forward and start measuring to it, start managing to it, and, apply for grants where we need to apply for grants, et cetera. So, so what I'd like to do is, if you have it up, Margaret, or? Okay. But anyway, I'll start going through it. So I would like to acknowledge first, we've had a number of people who have been part of our committees. Some of them started out and they had to drop out because it became more than they thought they signed up for. Some of them moved away. We've added new members throughout the process, and you'll see that when she gets the here we go here. Presentation up, you'll see some of the names, and we'll just kind of scroll, give you a quick look at them, and then we'll move forward. So next page is where we start. So here are the names of the people who've been on the committee, off the committee, and as I said, it's volunteers. They don't all make every meeting. They all participate. A lot of times they'll participate by sending stuff to myself, to Dave, to Susan Roth, et cetera. And, we hired LaBerge back in June, I think, of 22, when we got the first grant. So we had a Greenway grant and a Smart Growth grant to pay for the majority of this work. So we hired LaBerge Group. Susan Roth has been our consultant, along with Nicole Allen. And we thank them for that, too. So we'll move forward, kind of an overview. And I'll take you to the plan process, which is a couple pages ahead, Margaret. Yeah, so as I said, we started this off with a visioning report, and we had that done kind of like the end of the spring, early summer of 2023. We did a lot of survey work. We had some stakeholder meetings, focus groups. We had a workshop in January of 23. I think it snowed that night because I think it snowed every time we had a workshop. But we did get good attendance. We did a pretty big survey a couple times. One, I think we got 400 or 500 participants in one of them. So we were happy to get all that feedback. Okay, and then from there we did create a visioning report, which is part of this plan. Phase 2 is actually where we, really started getting into taking that visioning report and trying to put together a plan of action going forward. And we had events. We had a tent at the Walktoberfest on the rail trail, and what was unique about that was we got input not only from town residents, but people who visit the town. So and we asked them whether they were a town resident or not. So that was part of our data, which we thought was interesting to see some of the correlation of that. We had, again, some other workshops, prepared some guiding principles, and then we drafted the final plan in June, had the public hearing on June 24th, and then we had plan adoption here as September. It's really sometime, we want to do it before the end of the year. Let me put it that way. We have to go through all the comments we have. We just got the comments back from the county today also. So we're going to try and go through all of them and, make adjustments where we have to make them, answer the comments where we don't make them. So that's kind of our plan going forward. Okay, you can move forward, Margaret. Again, and this is kind of straightforward. I won't read the whole chart, but, this is kind of how we did it. We listen, plan, respond, explore, improve, and then seek grants and partnerships to try and make the town better for everybody. It may not be, there may be things we do that everybody doesn't agree with, and there may be things we do that same group agrees with. So it's kind of like, it's not a plan that's always going to please 100% of the population all the time, right? But we're trying to do, from the input we get and from some of the trends we see, we're trying to do what we think is best for the majority, both residents and visitors to the town. Okay, you can move forward, Margaret. And for those of you, I know most of you in here are already familiar with this, but comprehensive plan, again, it's kind of doing the data models, getting some of the data models, some of the trends, some of the inventory of where are we today, what needs to change, how is it evolving, what type of change do we need, what is our long-range strategy, and where do we need to go, and then start establishing policy, not only policy, but really a work plan to get there. And the work plan, to me, is the most important part, which, I've seen comprehensive plans in many towns, including some of ours, that, the actions just never got done, and there wasn't a focus to it. So we definitely have to put a management system around the plans. So, and we do intend to do that. Could move forward again, Margaret. And again, yeah, this is kind of the same thing. So the vision statement, kind of our guiding principles, were, we are a regional center. We're the easternmost town in Ulster County that, gets a lot of feed from Dutchess. We get a lot of feed from Newburgh, and we're kind of the center between, the southern, we're the southeastern part that connects to the bridge. Gives us a lot of different types of people coming into town, and so we kind of look at ourselves as a gateway. We do want to preserve character. We want to preserve the open spaces. One thing we know we have to focus on is getting our infrastructure to be more efficient, because it is not efficient today. I will come straight forward and say that, and we have done some things to improve it. We're trying to do some more things to improve it. A lot of our grant focus has been to improve the infrastructure. And, we're trying to get a mix between, improving it, doing some mitigation actions so we don't hit problems in the future. And also, where we need it to preserve or do, recreational and outdoor stuff, and, where we can grow. Because, look, we got to pay for all the services we put out. So we can't just stop the growth altogether either. So there's a good mix of it and kind of where we went forward. I'll flip to the next page. And these are we got a grant from New York, from Smart Growth in New York State, and these are the principles. So we took these principles, tried to follow them. You'll see them throughout the plan if you read through the plan, and you'll see how we're trying to address them. As I said, it's not totally complete yet, but you'll kind of see where we're leaning, how we're trying to focus on them and move forward. But I'm not going to read every word on it. I think that, we've seen it. It talks a lot about housing and choices, where to put density, clean energy, climate change, resiliency, which we know we had to work on. And those of you who've watched our progress forward know that we've done a lot of work on, trying to make our water and sewer plant more resilient. We've just gotten some pretty decent grants to try and put in generators and try and, save some power outages and stuff. So we've made some progress on that. Mobility is one thing we know the town isn't well set up for. It's not a total walkable community. It's not there are not a lot of areas as far as public access that have all the right ADA requirements in them, so we know we have to focus on that. And again, it's, we want to make it a town where people want to stay. We also want to make it a town where people want to visit. And, we want to make sure that we take people's input and collaborate with that. So again, then we go on to Lloyd's guiding principles. Again, we talk about housing choices, community connections, placemaking, the living environment, economic vitality, and leading for the future. And again, we're trying to, and I know people have heard me say this 100 times, we're trying to get more of the younger part of our community involved in doing things in the town, being part of our government, whether it's being on committees, whether it's volunteering, or, whether it's just, getting involved and being engaged. So we definitely know we have to focus on that. Okay, we'll move forward to housing choices. What we got out of it was, people's input says we need to get a variety of them. And, we also need to support our existing housing stock and make sure that, we're doing the right things within where we have existing housing so that we're not, so that we're enhancing it. Community connections, this is one that I think is going to be key. And transportation, we've had a lot of discussion about trying to get a couple complete streets in town. I just got a grant application back that we didn't get, which we put in last year, which was to make Haviland Road a complete street. And that was about a $4 million grant, and we did not get that. And I just got a debrief on, from DOT of, when we resubmit it, which can't be till late next year, of where the strengths and weaknesses of our application were. So we'll try. And by the way, a lot of these, from what I've heard, is the first time you put them in, you don't all, it's like your first time in, you're not going to get it. But I had a good discussion with the people, and at least I better understand what they're looking for. But that, to us, was the perfect road to start with as a complete street because it's 42, 43 feet wide. You get the walkway off, you got the rail trail off of it. It's kind of, you come off the bridge and you get there, so you can use that if you have a bike lane. You can feel safe driving your bike across the walkway to the train station to go to New York City or whatever you're going to do. So, but we did not get that grant. We'll put in for it again. I mean, that's kind of what you do with these things. But trails, we have. I never realized how many trails we did have in town. We have a lot of them, a lot of good ones, and I know that there are a lot of teams, whether it's the rail trail, whether it's Empire State Trails, whether it's some of these other groups that get involved to work on the trail network. They've been good partners of ours, and we need to continue that. And then we also focused on some wayfinding, and I know there's been a lot of talk about wayfinding. And there's normally never the right answer on it because people interpret signs differently, but we're trying to come up with the right mix of, what type of signs we need where to try and get people moving through town, into town, and seeing the spots where, the businesses can also help thrive. Placemaking. And this one, I know, especially with the younger community, we got a lot of feedback on this. Recreational resources, and how can we improve our recreational resources? And we have 5 parks in town. Okay, we have 5 parks. Some of them they've have different things, but we feel that we need to expand on them. We think we need to improve them a bit. Need to make them ADA compliant. And get new different things that more focus on, as I said, some of the younger generation who, can more use parts instead of somebody like me who still has trouble walking until I get my knee replaced. But other than that, we know we need to focus on that. Historic preservation, we know we've heard a lot, we get a lot of feedback on it. We're including some items in there, and we have to figure out how to preserve the historic history, so future generations do know, what went on here. And then zoning updates. So from the comprehensive plan, what things do we need to do with zoning to kind of make it fit our strategy moving forward? If we move forward, living environment, working lands, and again, agriculture. Agriculture is still big in Lloyd. It's still a very important part of our town. The agriculture business brings a lot of people to town. I mean, and if you go to one of our farms, they're some of the best around, right? They do a good job at it, and people seem to, and if you go out and see the parking lots on the weekends, they're always full. And I think that's a good thing, and I think we need to do what we can to support the people who are in the agricultural and business in town. Water resources, again, protecting our streams, ponds, and lakes. We've talked about it a lot. There's a lot of regulations, and we try to make sure we incorporate them, and we try to make sure we protect everything we can, along with, any other environmentally significant resources. Economic vitality. The water plant is a big focus of mine, has been a big focus since, I think, the first day I looked at some of the numbers in the water plant and saw how inefficient it was. And we've made a lot of improvements there already, but we have one big improvement we need to make, and we basically need to rebuild the water plant. We put in, every year, I put in 2 grants for it. I haven't gotten any yet, but they're $5 and $6 million grants. They're not easy to get. I'm just gonna keep putting them in. I always go back for the feedback, so we try to strengthen them every time. But this water plant was built in 1984. It's still, the controls are still analog. So we need to update the controls. We need to update the filters, because today we use 20% of our water that we manufacture, we use to backwash the tanks. So that's 20% of the water we're not selling, and it's 20% of our water that's actually going through our sanitary treatment plant that doesn't have to. So it's taking up capacity there. So we have the engineering done. We understand what we need to do. It's just all about getting the money to start fixing it. And once we do get it, it's probably a 3 to 5 year overhaul to get it done. Okay. Community, again, any investment in our community and revitalization, when we have people come in to develop things in our community, we want to get them to do it, using the latest technology, following the latest regulations, and helping support the community, not just come in, build, and leave. So a lot there. So if we move forward, leading for the future, and look, we want to continue to provide services. We don't want to sit here and say, hey, we're going to have to take services away now, right, because we can't afford them or they're not viable anymore. Create, regional partnerships, specifically in the environmental area, and promote sustainable infrastructure, and do as much as we can with it. And we've started some of this work. We've joined the Climate Smart community. We've got 2 of the key actions done. We're moving to try and complete a couple more this year. But again, a lot of this goes with the help of volunteers, because we can't hire staff for everything. Right. So the next steps. We're here tonight, the CPC. This is, they've presented their draft to the town board. We did a seeker, and then we set the town board public hearing for tonight, which is August 21st. And as I said, we had September 18 on here. I don't know whether we'll make that. I definitely want to close this, though, in the next few months. I mean, it's been a long time. If you keep looking at things, you never get things done. So we want to get it done, put a stake in the ground, and start managing to it. And I think that's what we want to do. And again, I specifically thank, Dave Barton and LaBerge for their constant support. We probably probably have exchanged tens of thousands of emails in the last 2 years. So, but I do appreciate everybody's support, and I do appreciate everybody, showing up, giving us our comments. The 400 or 500 people that have taken surveys, the people that have sent us letters, and we are collecting them. We do have them, and we will, as a committee and town board, go through them. So, just because we don't do something that somebody said, doesn't mean we're not listening to them. It just means we got your input, and there's a reason we either did or didn't do something. So I know a lot of times when people come into a public hearing, they say, well, I told them to do this and they didn't listen to me. Well, it's not that you told us to do it and you didn't listen to them. We heard you. We just either didn't think it was viable or the right thing as a board. So I'll set the stage with that, and then I'll start asking for comments. I do want to say we have a lot of people, we have a lot of comments, and in our reorganization meeting, we did adopt the rules from the Association of Towns on holding meetings and hearing, public hearings, and we try to keep it to 3 minutes per person. And if there's stuff that you don't get to, you're very welcome to send us comments on paper after that. I mean, we're not going to close the public hearing tonight, so we'll leave it open. And what I'll do is I'll start with whoever wants to raise their hand first. Yeah? Wow. Go ahead, Jeff.
Joan Kelly, 5 Grapeview Lane. My comments, wrote them out so I can get them done in 3 minutes. This plan is based on smart growth ideas, which envision urban settings with clustered dwellings, which house a diverse population that can walk or bike to works, shops, churches, and schools, share open green spaces, and use public transportation, negating the need for a car. These ideas are supported by developers who see higher densities and reduced parking requirements as a way to increase their profits. But smart growth doesn't work in Highland, where a car or a truck is an absolute necessity. Public transportation is limited, and there are few places of employment in town. The area targeted for smart growth development doesn't meet these criteria. And I assume all of you have read the plan and have a copy of it, but on page 24, it shows a diagram of where they anticipate the increased density, okay? And it says, guiding principle, promote development in a manner that enhances the existing character and livability at the town of Lloyd and its neighborhoods by enabling new development in nodal areas around existing corridors, the hamlet, and available infrastructure. These areas should be mixed use, allowed commercial and multiple dwellings to increase the number of dwellings. The area that they show in this picture is the area between the rail trail and town, and it's centered on 9W. That's the area, and you can look at the picture if you have the plan. Increase the number of dwellings in an area where transit is easily reached by walking or biking over the walkway, over the Hudson to Poughkeepsie, or a UCAT transit stop in Highland. When I read that, it's like, how many people have actually walked from the town over to the rail trail, across the rail trail into Poughkeepsie? This is, maybe it looks good on paper, but there's a whole lot. Oh, Jeff has, good.
There are, I would just say there are more than just Jeff.
Well, Jeff gets a star. Okay. So mixed residential apartments with commercial development has been successful in many areas in enlivening communities with easy pedestrian movements between homes, shops, and sources of entertainment. So looking at that in the picture, I have some questions. How many board members have walked over the Hudson to Poughkeepsie or ridden a UCAT transit system? I personally have never ridden the UCAT transit system.
I have.
Good, good. This area is not a place where clustered dwellings can house a population that can walk or bike to work, shops, churches, and schools. The area is bisected by a 5-lane highway, does not provide, quote, easy pedestrian movements between homes, shops, and sources of entertainment. If the density of dwelling units increases and car ownership does not decrease as projected, the result is congestion, conflict over parking spots, especially when it snows, and a decline in the standard of living. Lack of parking is already a serious problem in the hamlet. On-street parking has narrowed roads like Vineyard Avenue to the point where it's barely possible to have 2 lanes of traffic. Pedestrians and bicyclists compete for sidewalk space. Residents create parking spaces by parking on their front lawns. This situation endangers those who pass through the hamlet and discourages shoppers and tourists in the hamlet. The plan predicts the Hudson Valley Rail Trail will be used as an alternative to the use of personal cars, decreasing the number of cars and the parking needed in the area. Obviously, they've never tried to walk anywhere in the town via the Hudson Valley Rail Trail.
Jen, you'll give us those comments because you're over your time now.
Okay,
Thank you.
I have 2 more paragraphs. The plan attempts to address the issue of adult children moving out of Lloyd. Retaining adult children of retirees can increase resident satisfaction for all generations of a family and increase community connections, which in turn can reduce the need for public service aimed at providing elderly residents who need minimum care to be able to live independently longer, page 17. Is this the dream we have for our children and grandchildren? To live in a 3rd-floor walk-up on a busy 5-lane highway next to commercial establishments with no outdoor space, limited parking, and no employment opportunities, just to reduce the need for public services for the elderly. Concentrating future housing developments along 9W is a mistake. No one would want to live there. Please do not approve this plan.
Thank you. Anybody else? Yes.
My name is Bruce Epperson. I live at 314 Bellevue Road. New York Town Law 272 speaks of adopting or amending comprehensive plans, but not updating them. It's ambiguous in that regard. If it's your intention to retire entirely the existing 2013 comprehensive plan and replace it, I'd strongly recommend that this is something that you need to incorporate directly into the resolution that you're having Mr. Murphy prepare for you. The reason I bring this up is because in its comments from the Ulster County Planning Board, they have brought up by my count, 9 mandatory recommendations that need to be incorporated into the current comprehensive plan. Some of these require fairly extensive changes. They're requiring some fairly extensive mapping changes. Some of them, they wish to move the zoning audit into the plan text itself. Some of these are policies that have not found favor with this board in the past. They want a policy to allow multifamily and mixed use on 9W. And some of them can't be done immediately. They want to incorporate the new jurisdictional small-scale wetlands that won't be effective until January 1st, 2025 into the comprehensive plan. There are 2 options. The first is to give the planning board the changes that they desire. The second would be not to give all 9 of these changes to the planning board. That would require a supermajority in which there would be 4 votes for the new comprehensive plan, regardless of no votes, absentee votes, or abstentions. There is an intermediate course, and that would be to adopt the proposed comprehensive plan as a comprehensive plan study, as a guideline for future changes. It would not be effective legally under the state statutes as the comprehensive plan. The 2013 comprehensive plan would remain in force. This would allow you to go in the coming months to institute as many changes as you wanted or to reject those changes. Then the 2013 comprehensive plan could be amended in various sections. In particular, the land use plan map and its associated text could be amended if needed for each specific development application. For instance, somebody has a development, it needs a rezoning. The rezoning is not permitted because it violates the comprehensive plan map. So far, all of those changes have to go to the planning board. But if it requires a comprehensive plan change, that change goes to you.
3 minutes.
the town board. This gives you a stake in any future land use change. This gives you a direct regulatory input into land use changes in the town. This creates a more dynamic regulatory document. Mr. Plavchek looks at the comprehensive plan and he sees an infrastructure plan. I
That's
look
not
at a
true.
plan,
Excuse me.
and I
Sir,
see a regulatory
Mr. Epperson,
plan.
your 3 minutes are up, and I don't want you to tell people what I think, because you don't know exactly what I think. We will go through the comments, we will take them one by one, and we will answer them. And then we will decide how to move forward. So, thank you for your input.
Do you see it primarily as an infrastructure plan or a regulatory plan?
I see it as a strategy for the town. That's what it is. And that's how we're looking at it.
Do you think
So-
it's a tool we can use to
so
regulate
your
land
time
use?
Your time is up, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else would like to speak? Jeff, we have your comments. Thank you. We'll go through them.
If no one else speaks, I'll take and paraphrase.
Okay, you can do that.
Thanks. First, I want to commend the Comprehensive Plan Committee and the Town Board for what they've done to work on this over the past years. Jeff Rianzavino, Director of Land Use Advocacy for Scenic Hudson. I like to think about, I like the Rip Van Winkle metaphor. I've only been here for about 33 years, but I remember when I lived here, when I moved here in 1991, if old Rip would have fallen asleep, he would have found the railroad bridge abandoned railroad through the town, oil tanks on the river. Kind of a sleepy hamlet here. Maybe some people might characterize it that way. Now we have a tourist attraction used by local residents, 600,000 people using it, coming from all over the world. Waterfront Park, I think that's the envy of a lot of communities. The rail trail actually goes to Canada and New York City as part of the Empire State Trail. And new library in the hamlet, art galleries, brew pub, coffee shop. We've come a long way. And I think a lot of that has to do with the improvements that have been made over the past 30 years, especially with parks and trails and open spaces that have been created and connected throughout the town. And the comprehensive plan, I know a lot of work has gone into it, but I think where its shortcoming is, it needs more specific guidance into how it will actually achieve smart growth. I don't have the same concerns about smart growth as others. I think not everybody has to give up their cars. Planners say if 5% of the people or 5% of the trips are deferred, it will make a big difference. And we just want to give people a choice that they want to live in a place where they can walk to services and places where they can get their business done. We've got a lot of comments here, and I think I'll just kind of go through a couple things. First, thanks for that preface about Haviland Road. I didn't know that you had submitted that grant. Talk to us about what we can do maybe to help you get that grant. I think it's really important, and I agree with you 100% that Haviland Road is a great candidate for a complete street. The state of Pennsylvania, there's a group out there that did a trail town study that has strategies for how to change land use around trails. And that would be ways to improve zoning to create the types of uses and densities that could cause people to live and create businesses along trails like the rail trail that we have. We can send you some information about that, and we're glad that the public hearing is going to be kept open. One of the things that I think the plan needs to do a little bit better job at is to provide some specific protections for the scenic area of statewide significance along the bluffs. And then there is another designated place called the, I think it's the Esopus Lloyd Ridges and Wetlands area, which is the place sort of west of Route 9W. They're both significant biodiversity areas. Some really concrete steps should be taken to protect those areas. Smart growth means developing place in and around places with existing infrastructure. And so we hope that that will be the strategy, that infrastructure won't be extended to places that are ecologically significant or important scenic areas. Thank you so much for all the work you're doing here, and we'll provide additional comments before your comment period is over. Thanks.
Thank you. Yes, Sue.
I am not as well spoken as Jeff, but I agree with so much of what you said. Oh, Sue Gilmore? Yep. Sue Gilmore. I agree. We moved in 1987, and I so agree with you that so much has happened with the trails, the walkway. Prior to this, I might not have been proud to say that I live in Highland, but now I feel we have a place on the map that is beautiful, that people come to. And in regard to the town, I love the small businesses that are trying to make it, and those that pay attention to how they look, and the outdoor spaces that they have with their tables that makes it inviting to come to. I also don't have the concerns about the traffic in town. I love the traffic in town. If we do have an issue with parking, I encourage the town to look at the parking lot behind the church to make it more visible. And I think I said at the first meeting up in Rhinebeck, I go to that town parking lot, and I am happy to walk wherever I need to go to. Again, I said at the other town meeting that we had on this, my concern with some of the apartment or the landlords who don't necessarily take very good care of their buildings. And it is my hope, and I know legalities come into play on this, it is my hope that something could be done in that regard. And I heard from Russ earlier that the Apple bin place has been sold, and is that not public knowledge? Oh, okay. I am very, very excited to hear about that, because I always thought this could either be a restaurant or maybe affordable housing, or some sort of a venue that may bring people down Vineyard, which would encourage the building owners on Vineyard to perhaps fix up their buildings. And but I agree with Jeff. We've come such a long way, and I'm happy to see what the future's going to bring. Thanks.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Anybody else? If not, well, as I said, we'll leave the public hearing open, so you can send comments via email, you can call our office, you can stop by, and, you know, Margaret's been the collector of comments, so feel free to send them to her. If not, we'll move forward with our regular meeting, and I do appreciate everybody who came forward for the public
you.
hearing. Thank you all.
Thank you.
You don't have to leave. I mean, you could hear the regular
Yeah,
town
you
meeting.
can hang out. Welcome to hang out.
It's a short agenda tonight, by the way, so. Okay, we'll let the room clear a little bit, so we have
Podium
the back
is
talking.
blocking half the podium.
Well, it's either the TV or Zoom with our choices.
Yeah.
Can we roll the podium back?
Yeah, but then you can't see them on the TV, which I get complaints that you
Oh.
can't see them on TV. So.
Oh, now, well, okay. There we go, now we see Sean.
Okay.
We can almost see Sean.
Okay, so we're going to move forward with the town board liaison reports.
See your hands.
And we'll go straight to, top is beautification committee with Councilman Rizzo. When you finish that, Tiffany, you can go straight to the school district.
Okay, sounds good. So for beautification, we've been receiving a lot of compliments on all of the flowers and the plants and stuff through town. So we just want to thank everybody for those kind words, and the committee is happy to contribute beauty to our hamlet. We're finalizing the plans for the Scarecrow event. Again, this is on October 5th from 10 to 2, and it is a first come, first serve. We are planning for about 125 scarecrows, so the sooner you get there, the better. We will also have face painting available, as well as hot dogs, cider, and donuts. We still are in need of some clothing donations, and we just want when donating, we ask you to keep in mind, don't donate anything that somebody else would wear. We don't want to take anything, from anybody in need. So if it, has holes in it or stains or whatever, that's the stuff that we're looking for. And also a reminder that we do have it advertised on Facebook, but also the town posts things on the local channel 22 so that you can find information there as well. That's it for beautification. For school, it was a brief meeting this month. Breakfast and lunch will be free again for students this year. The middle school is in good shape for September. The capital project is underway. At the high school, the carpet for the field is going in this week. Bleachers are in. The press box should have arrived earlier this week. Classrooms are being retiled. New lockers are going in, as well as sidewalks. Elementary school is also having work done. They're replacing floor tiles, ceilings, and lights, and the footings have been poured for the outdoor classroom. And the next school board meeting has been moved. It was supposed to be yesterday, but it's been moved to August 27th at 5 o'clock.
Okay. Any of the board have questions for Councilperson Rizzo? Okay, if not, we'll move on to, okay, I'll update you on the ECC. We actually we did meet Monday. They've completed their yearly cleanup of Lily Lake. There's still more to do, but once a year they go out and they pull some vegetation. Off the top of my head, I can't remember the name of it, but they pull it, and they're thinking about one more year they'll kind of have eradicated what they were trying to get rid of. And I forget the name, but I'll get it for you for the minutes, Wendy.
I think it's milfoil.
What's that?
I think it's milfoil.
No, it's different. So they did that. They put in a grant for habitation analysis for Chattahoochee Lake also, and then they have a second grant going in that they want to put in that deals with trails and a few other pieces of that. The kiosk out by the kiosk launch, out by the the kayak launch, the kiosk is going in there. The cement pad's been laid. If you all remember, that was an Eagle Scout project from Tasso Bacasius. So they did pour the cement pad, so we should see that kiosk going up in the near future. And they're continuing on their climate smart actions. They've got 2 of the 3 key actions completed, and we're partially through the 3rd one, which will get us our first level grant for climate smart. So a lot of work going on there. It's a good committee. They work hard. So we appreciate that. We go down further, Lloyd Community Development Committee. There's been no activity there right now. We do have a loan application in that we'll go over at our next meeting. So that's my committees, and we'll move forward to Councilmember Frano. You can start with your events, fire, and lights, John.
Okay. We didn't have an events committee meeting last month. The Fall Fest, Margaret, the date for that, did they give it to you yet? Okay, I'll get you the date for the Fall Festival. The Highland Fire District, the commissioners, they're still looking at, we talked about the bunking program. That's still being reviewed. They're getting a lot of input and, getting their facts together and to see what might be a good viable solution and a good plan. So more to come on that. No decision has been made, obviously. Staying with the fire district, last month, the month of July, they had 48 alarms they were dispatched to. Average firefighters per call were 10. Highest number of firefighters at a call was 36. 111 apparatus responses. Firefighter hours answering alarms, 350 hours. Hours for meetings, 113. Hours for training, 134. Miscellaneous hours, 49. So we had total of 646 volunteer hours from our Highland Hose Company. And in addition to those, The fire department installed repaired the flagpole rope at Darien Park on July 3rd. Where they provided standby apparatus and manpower to Town Lloyd Fireworks on July 6th. They assisted in 4 EMS calls to lifting assist to New Paltz Rescue. And so they had a pretty busy month. Wendy, I'll give you that copy of that. Moving down to the New Paltz Rescue, our ambulance contract. First, I want to say, again, I want to publicly thank Dave. You know, we mentioned last month about the town needing a Medicare account for billing. And I don't know how many hours Dave put in, but he put in a ton of hours. And he was dealing with attorneys, rescue squad attorneys, New York State attorneys, county attorneys, and he just put a ton of hours in. Our application has been submitted, so we're waiting for that to receive the Medicare account number. So again, thank you for that, Dave.
And by the way, I was the only one that could do it.
Right, Dave was the only one.
I'm the elected official, it's with the CFO and everything else in the town, so all the work ended up coming back on us.
He'd send me reports of what he was working on. I read it, my eyes glazed over, and I said, "You need any help?" And hoping he would say no, and he said, "No, I got it." So, thank you, but it's in the hopper, it's in the work.
Yeah, it's supposed to take 90 days, by the way.
Okay, last month, things slowed down a little bit for New Paltz Rescue. They were under 100. They are under 200. They had 199 calls. Their average response time was 7.7 minutes and 7.06 minutes. There was one call that stood out. It was at the DFY, and it had a response time of 31 minutes and 37 seconds. I inquired about that. In actuality, what happened, they responded from the North Putt Corners Road location. They were on the scene at security for DFY in a little over 7.5 minutes. They were on the scene, they had a clear security, determined that they needed an additional rig, so another rig was sent, and the way 911 accounts for dispatch times, they kept the clock running until the second ambulance was there. So the first one was on the scene in less than 10 minutes. It was when the second one arrived was 31:37. They had several occurrences of 3 calls at the same, 3 dispatches at the same time, and 2 dispatches at relatively the same time. So they're performing well. They're easy to work with, willing to meet anytime we want to meet, and quick to respond to us. So we're pleased with that. The lighting district. I have an appointment Friday with a Central Hudson field engineer for the new street light that's going to be installed on South Street that I mentioned last meeting. So once we do that and they do their field work, I would think in about 2 weeks that will be completed. The only other thing in the lighting district is there's about 3 or 4 poles in Bridgeview, those new lights that were installed, that are not set just as deep as we would like them to be. So Adam from the water department, we're going to use his equipment, his crew. We're going to reset, using the vacuum truck, try to get down as far as we can. If we hit rock, they're going to put some kind of like post form around it to hold it into place. I have been following up with the residents up there that made me aware of the concern. In fact, as recent as this afternoon, she fully understands that we're trying to do it with our own town resources. So we kind of have to wait till when Adam's crew is available. They've been quite busy with hydrant flushing, water main breaks, and other things. But we hope in the next week or 2 we will have those lights reset and anchored well. And the last piece is the pavilion. We have a scheduled date for the startup of the pump, the sewage pump. That's going to be the 28th of the month. The electrician's work is all done, but we're going to have the pump company in to do that. The bid opening is next Thursday, the 27th, Wednesday, that's
It's
correct?
Tuesday.
Tuesday, the 27th. No, Wednesday, Wednesday, the 27th.
Yeah, Tuesday is 27th.
Then it's okay.
27th is Tuesday.
It is? Okay.
But go ahead.
Yeah, today's 21st.
Our senior breakfast is 29th, which is Thursday.
Senior, okay. Tuesday, 27th.
11 o'clock.
Okay. So the bid opening, and that's for the restrooms and to complete, and the storage area and the overhead doors. So hopefully, we have 3 contractors interested that have responded to some degree that we know of?
I've seen 2.
2? Oh, I thought there was a third. Okay. And we're just hoping that the numbers come in and the numbers are something we can work with and fit within the budget.
Okay, thanks, John. Any
That's all I have.
questions for John?
Thank you.
Okay, we'll move forward. Councilman Akmoody, Highland Landing, and the rail trail, and the planning board.
Highland Landing, I haven't done very much. I just kind of got used to my arm and everything back. The soap dispensers were installed in the bathrooms. We had the little bottles you push down, but people needed them more than we did, so they kept disappearing. So now we have soap dispensers on the wall. He comes, I believe, on Mondays and cleans it. It's stayed pretty nice. No complaints there. The door opens at 7 in the morning and it closes at 6. So as of right now, that's it. There's nothing much going on other than we have too many geese down there. The planning board, the last meeting, a big meeting tomorrow night, but at the last meeting, ADC, Ulster, Falcon Ridge, their draft scope is prepared and submitted. They're supposed to return on September 19th. The villages, that's one of the big things that's on tomorrow night, public hearing. New business, Jacob, John, and Mary subdivision on 111 South Street to return with more information. The public hearing on Ohioville Solar Farm. Why didn't I put it? That is August 22nd, which is tomorrow night. So that is also the public hearing on that. New short-term rentals, those people at 269 Pancake Hollow, they didn't return, and that was actually it. So that's it as far as the planning board goes.
Okay, you want to do rail trail, or you have Peter going to talk about that?
Well, Peter said he had nothing.
He had nothing.
You still give up? Or?
I do have a brief update. Fall Fest, September 28th.
Okay.
They will get you the details. Thank you.
Okay, I think we did have a request, though, that came out of the rail trail
Yes.
meeting last night, right?
Correct,
To
about the
clean-
bushes.
About the bushes, that we should, I think I sent it out to everybody. So we should talk to both Rich and Frank and figure out who's going to do that.
Yeah, it's the bushes that are off of the extension,
Yep.
going up to where the parking lot is.
Yep, I know exactly what you're talking about, so we'll get that addressed. We'll move forward to Councilman Guerrero with zoning board.
Okay, Danielle Sesser, she's seeking an area variance at 5 Lisa Drive. She needs 7.5 feet for a shed that was previously built by the previous owner. All right, so that's set for public hearing. And then Kathleen Valentino on 281 Perkinsville Road is seeking an area variance of .11 acres in order to be able to build a 2-family house. And that's set for public hearing.
Okay, Any questions for Mike? Thanks, Mike.
You're welcome.
Okay, so that's all, takes care of all the reports. We'll move forward. Just a couple updates. We talked about the grant we got for undergrounding utilities in the hamlet, which would be behind Vineyard from Milton to Maine, and on Main Street from, from where the fountain is, or just next to the fountain, up to where it meets Church Street. So just so you know, we have started the preliminary design work for that, and we have gotten so far a very good response from Central Hudson. They already walked through the town. They understand what the scope of it is. We're meeting again with them Monday, along with the other utility companies that are on the poles. There's also Verizon on them, there's Altice on them, and there's one or two other minor ones. So we're starting to move forward, because if you remember, in that particular grant, they gave it to us in two phases. The first phase was the planning. And then once we did the planning and FEMA was satisfied with the planning, then they would release the phase two of the grant. So we have kicked that off. They'll be back. B&L is actually our consultant engineer on it, because it's kind of merged in with the streetscape project, because we'll be tearing up sidewalks anyway, and you would want to do them at the same time. So we may do a part of streetscape prior to doing the actual undergrounding, so that we can get some of the work out of the way. Where there's no undergrounding to be done, we can just replace the sidewalks and add the Elting Place piece and et cetera down.
Is the width of the sidewalks going to change?
I believe they stay the same.
They stay the same?
Yeah, they stay the same, and, you get new crosswalks, new signage, and the important piece of it, and I know you're familiar with it, Mike, is the piece from the library to the middle school. So you get a sidewalk down along Elting Place, which I think will
That's a
really
good
help the
idea.
middle
Oh, yeah.
schoolers who like to go across
Safety
there.
for the kids.
And it'll make it very safer in that intersection, which is kind of tough today.
It's been a
So
long time.
that's the piece I'd like to get done first. Yeah, that's my priority, so.
Yep.
So we'll move forward with that. We'll start, bringing the consultants into one or two of our town board meetings, so they can give you more of the actual detail instead of just me summarizing it for you. The second piece of news I did want to give you all, and this seemed like it took a lot longer, at least in my world, than some, but we did complete, working with CPL and with Richie and his team, and Lenny and I in the Drainage Committee, we did complete the design work for Christopher and Brinkerhoff. That's, if you remember, we had Lenny's property that used to, so we do have the design work done for that. What we're doing right now is, Andy Learn from CPL is providing us with an estimate, because we're gonna have to put in a grant, because we know it's a few $100,000. So I need that estimate to be able to submit the grant. So that's where we're at right there with that. We didn't forget about it. It's just they dug some test pits. They wanted to make sure they knew, what type of rock, what type of geos they were dealing with, where the other utilities were. They had to do all the markouts and making sure they knew how to channel water and get the right gravitational flow of the storm water. So that's moving forward. So that was the update I had on those two projects. New business, I think Margaret forwarded you all a letter from Mr. DeCordo, who lives on South Chapel Hill Road. And his request is, can the town board, working, and obviously we have to work through the highway department and through DOT, can we look at making South Chapel Hill Road a one-way? So if you think about, if you're coming east on Chapel Hill and where the new Stewart's is, it's the road right before Stewart's that connects with 9W.
Right.
And if you read his letter, what he's saying is, there's more traffic since Stewart's is in, which is accurate. We kind of knew that. The ingress and egress from Stewart's is actually pretty good. His point is, but it would be better if we, only had cars traveling south on that and not making the left from 9W onto it. So, personally, I don't have a problem approaching DOT asking them, but I wanted to make sure we as a board were, I wanted to see what your thoughts were on
You
that.
said making a left from 9.
Yeah, because it connects to 9W.
Is this the one that runs between Stewart's and the church?
Yes.
Okay, it's not the one on the other side, okay, where the views
Oh,
is
okay,
going.
I got you,
Okay.
I got you, okay,
So people coming north make a left onto it,
right.
right? So in a sense, it might be to avoid the light. So in a sense, it actually might make it safer for, on
Good.
9W. And I do understand his concern about traffic, but again, I wanted to run it by all of you and see if you had any input.
Well, his house is all the way down on the right just before you get to the highway, so when people zip off the highway, they're just bolting right past his house.
Yep.
So if we feel comfortable, I have no problem writing a letter to DOT requesting that.
Aye.
But I wanted to get your inputs first. Any thoughts, Mike?
No. Well, right now, the traffic must be high because it's a new store and
Yeah,
everybody.
absolutely.
So it'll die down. I'm sure DOT will do a traffic count.
They'll do a traffic study. They'll put it up. We made a request just recently, and I think I sent you all the letter. They assign a number to it. 5 or 6 months later, we'll hear back from them. That's kind of the way the traffic, it's kind of the way they operate. And, I understand they get a lot of requests, so. So if we're good, we should probably do a motion, enable me to send that letter, right?
You can make a motion.
Yeah. So can I get a?
It's not binding, you're just requesting.
Yeah, so I need a motion to send a letter to DOT requesting changes to South Chapel Hill Road.
Motion.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, so I will get that letter out to them this week. And I will get back with Mr. DeCordo and let him know we're doing that. Okay, so we move forward to motions and resolution. Motion to approve
You can
the
do privilege
minutes.
of the floor.
What's that?
Privilege of the floor.
Oh, I skipped something, didn't I? Absolutely did.
He scribbled over
You
it.
got so much
Sorry.
scribble in there, you
I'm sorry.
can't read your agenda.
Absolutely sorry. Anybody here for privilege to the floor? Okay, so now we'll move on to motions and resolutions. Thank you, Wendy. So motion A is to approve the minutes of the regular town board meeting from June 26th and the town board workshop from July 3rd, 2024.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. B, resolution to authorize the payment of vouchers as audited by the audit committee. Can I get a mo-
Motion.
Second.
Any discussion?
Discussion. Did that other voucher get signed? The one for the truck?
Should have signed all,
Pardon?
should have signed all of mine.
Okay, because the one for the truck didn't get,
It was 56,000.
no, it was 100.
75. 75,000.
No, it was 100.
150,000, there's two of them for 75,
Right.
two checks, yeah.
Right, I know I signed that.
Okay.
Okay, yeah,
If it's
yeah.
not signed, call me. Tell
Right.
Margaret. If it's not signed, tell Margaret to call me. I'll be down in the morning.
Yeah, no problem. He noticed as we were going through them and saying, I gotta talk to Mike about this one, so.
Okay.
He thought maybe there was an issue, so if there was, we're gonna bring it up town board. Okay, so we'll get that one signed. So, any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Okay, resolution C is to approve the following budget amendment for the 2024 CHIPS project at the recommendation of Richard Klotz, Highway Superintendent, and this was to do the paving on New Paltz Road, which came out pretty good. So it was $154,000 from CHIPS money into, the capital improvement budget for highway. Can I get a motion?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, and then Resolution D, this is from Kendra for the budget amendments for general, and this again is, doing the plus and minuses across the accounts. So can I get a motion to approve the following budget amendments for general?
Motion.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, any other topics tonight from any of the town board, or? If not, Sean, I believe we have to go into executive session to talk about some litigation again. So I need a motion to go into executive session.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We're going to executive session at 8:05.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everybody.
He did. Oh, what the litigation is about?
That's
Sean,
just litigation.
It's just,
litigation.
it's just litigation, yeah.
Couldn't hear you. Just general litigation.
Good night,
Good
Bob.
night.